So if you're from Johannesburg, this is the other side of the story. Herman Mashaba was the very first keynote speaker at the very first BizNews conference. So Nick was at that conference, and he, as I mentioned earlier, had this sensational, spectacular COVID speech that YouTube really didn't like. And after it really went crazy. I'm talking 500,000 people who watched we couldn't believe it. We had this little YouTube channel, and suddenly the whole world was watching Nick. But at that event, the very first speaker was Herman Mashaba, who at the time didn't even have a political party. So he's here today as part of the NDB Liberty Indaba, the attack on personal freedoms. I'm sure Herman's going to talk about Joburg, but you should also remember that this man is a past president of the Free Market Foundation. So you know, and also an entrepreneur, a billionaire entrepreneur who built a business during the most difficult time for someone who happened to have a melanin overload. Herman Mashaba.
This BizNews production is brought to you by Brenthurst Wealth. A Mauritian trust offers a powerful solution for global estate planning. Invest better with Brenthurst.
Thank you, Alec, and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for BizNews family for the opportunity to speak about an important issue facing not only South Africa, the attack on South Africa's personal liberties. For many, the phrase personal liberty may sound somewhat abstract, but in our country today, it is painfully practical. The reality is that our liberty is taken away when criminals operate with impunity while government is either unwilling or incapable of protecting law-abiding citizens. A corrupt government diverts public resources meant to serve the people into networks of patronage and self-enrichment. Illicit markets are allowed to thrive while law-abiding entrepreneurs confront excessive red tape and growth-killing policies. Municipalities collapsing under the weight of mismanagement, leaving communities without the most basic of services. But ultimately, when the rule of law collapses, personal liberty is one of the first casualties, unfortunately. The real crisis across many parts of our country, criminal syndicates have captured law enforcement, government departments, even municipalities and state-owned entities. Critical infrastructure is vandalized, stripped and stolen, while funds meant to maintain and expand it are looted. Businesses are forced to operate in an environment that is simply intolerable. Communities are abandoned as violent crime spreads. Illegal, undocumented foreigners operate with near total disregard for the laws, while the government turns a blind eye. That is the reality of the steady collapse of the state's willingness and ability to uphold the rule of law. And when that happens, it is ordinary South Africans who ultimately pay the price. ActionSA approach, the company, the political party I represent, has always been clear about one thing. South Africa does not lack plans. South Africa lacks political will. For far too long, politicians only talk about fixing problems they created without actually doing anything about it. That is why, from day one, ActionSA launched, we made it clear that our mission to fix South Africa to take a different approach, one where we act and demonstrate our work. Proof in Tshwane, just to illustrate something. The best evidence of ActionSA's blueprint is the work currently being done by ActionSA, Dr. Nasipi Moya in the city of Tshwane, our capital city. In a short period of time, Mayor Moya has begun restoring the basic principles that should govern every municipality in this country. Nasipi Moyo launched the Reclaim Our City initiative, working with SAPS, TMPD, and Home Affairs. This initiative has tackled criminal operations, illegal connections, and illegal foreigners. In just 1 year, this administration has conducted over 400 by law enforcement operations. Dr. Moyo became the first mayor in 10 years to initiate a recruitment drive in the TMB team, with 200 officers being added to the ranks. She also increased the budget for law enforcement by hundreds of millions of rands, more than her predecessors before her. The total budget for frontline safety services has been increased from 4.5 billion rands to currently 5.3 billion rands. Over 60 officials have been fired for misconduct, and 70 officials have been referred to the Financial Disciplinary Board for financial misconduct. 14.4 billion rands in unauthorized and irregular expenditure has been investigated. For the first time in years, the city of Tshwane has passed a fully funded budget confirmed by National Treasury. The city's historic debt to ESCOM has been decreased by over 2 billion rands in just over a year. The historic municipal workers' wage dispute has been resolved. Internal capacity has been increased and the municipal fleet been renewed. In one financial quarter, Tshwane created more jobs than Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Ekurhuleni combined. 86 billion rands has been pledged in investment as part of the city's investment summit. A pilot project to extend clinic operating hours across Tshwane has been tried at Olivenhoofsburg Clinic. 14.4 billion rands in all of unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure has been investigated. Over 220 kilometers of roads have been resurfaced. Over 3,300 title deeds have been handed over to deserving residents. Through Tshwane Yatima program, Tshwane's debtors book has been decreased. Areas of non-compliance in the auditing process have decreased from 13 to current 60, confirmed by Auditor General. The lessons from Tshwane. What is happening in Tshwane shows that the crisis in our municipality is not irreversible. But turning municipalities around requires three things. One, leaders must be prepared to always enforce the law. Two, municipalities must function according to clear rules and accountability. Three, the law cannot be applied selectively. These principles are the core of ActionSA blueprint for municipal governance. The reality in Johannesburg. Nowhere is the collapse of governments clearer than in the city of Johannesburg. That is why, in announcing my candidacy for Johannesburg, I launched a project called Operation Fix Johannesburg. Johannesburg is the economic heart of our country, South Africa. But today, it faces infrastructure and service delivery collapse, lawlessness, hijacked buildings, etc. The city once drove the South African economy has been allowed to deteriorate into chaos. Operation Fix Johannesburg is built on simple principle. This requires decisive intervention to end the lawlessness and corruption destroying Johannesburg. A properly resourced anti-corruption capability will be reinstated. Lifestyle audits will be mandatory for senior officials and political office bearers. Corrupt contractors will be blacklisted. Major tenders and contracts will be published for public scrutiny. Effective and managed municipal courts will be reinstated. JMPD will be strengthened with 2,500 additional officers recruited over the next 5 years. That is 500 officers each year, properly trained and deployed where they are needed most. Restarting the inner city rejuvenation by reclaiming hijacked buildings and leading the most aggressive inner city cleanup operation. Without these steps, economic recovery becomes impossible. Businesses cannot invest where the law is absent. Residents cannot thrive where disorder dominates. Our work in Parliament, just to share something with you, I'm most proud of the fact that while the fight to reverse the malfeasance at the center of the collapse of our municipalities continues, our members of Parliament are truly punching above their weight and using every available mechanism to pursue reform within the national sphere. Since 2024, ActionSA has, to name only a few, spearheaded the following: the enhanced cut cabinet PAX bill aimed at putting an end to the unchecked waste of billions of rands on luxury travel, VIP protection, and other excessive PAX. A constitutional amendment to eliminate the role of deputy ministers. The Fallen Whistleblowers Bill, which honors the brave South Africans who paid the ultimate price for telling the truth. It is in the name of memory of whistleblowers such as Babita, Dekoran, and others who were murdered for exposing corruption while the state failed to protect them and Parliament failed to act. There's the Zero Tolerance Anti-Corruption Bill to be introduced tomorrow. In fact, I'm having a press conference tomorrow to share with South Africans about this piece of legislation that you are bringing. This bill will end the culture of consequences-free looting by imposing aggressive and harsher sentences and penalties for corruption. Strengthen blacklisting measures to prevent corrupt individuals and companies from recycling themselves through the state by streamlining and tightening blacklisting rules and enforcement. Reform of the National Prosecuting Authority, which will fundamentally reform the NPA to eliminate political interference and ensure swift, independent prosecutions without fear or favor. Restoring liberties through the rule of law. At its core, this conversation is about freedom. True liberty is not only about rights written in the Constitution. It is about whether the state protects those rights in everyday life. Do people feel safe? Do businesses operate in an enabling environment, one that obstructs their growth? Do municipalities provide the services citizens pay for? ActionSA's offer. ActionSA's offer is straightforward and is best represented through the kind of leadership already being demonstrated in Tshwane and through our members of parliament. Through this kind of decisive interventions outlined in Operation Fix Johannesburg, and through our belief that South Africans deserve municipalities that work, that we have the depth of leadership from Athol Trollip to Nasipi Moya who can get the job done. Let me also take this opportunity to respond, Alec, to some of the allegations against me the last 2 days. Let me start first with Rob. I don't know if he's still around. Rob saying that I've lost the plot. I think, Rob, thank you for the compliment. To be criticized by Rob, for me, it's the biggest compliment I've received in many years. And the reason why I'm saying it's a compliment, because obviously Rob doesn't like me because I exposed these lies. Coming out, claiming in public platform that is a big funder of ActionSA. I'm still waiting for him to give me proof of that, because I checked with our finance people and I actually even asked him, I said, Rob, perhaps someone gave you a wrong account number, because you're on public platform that you're a big supporter, a big donor of ActionSA, and you're waiting for that. So I think for me, honestly, to be undermined by someone like you or underestimate me, it's a big compliment. Yesterday, obviously, I came in the afternoon, and I believe Madam Helen Zela made some interesting observation about me, calling me an EFF mayor, that I was captured by the EFF. You can imagine Herman Mashaba being captured by the EFF. I'm on record in books everywhere. In the 3 years as a mayor of the city of Johannesburg, first mayor in this country to fire 3 DA MMCs. And in each case, the DA refusing me to fire them. And I said to them, this is nothing to do with the party. This is pure corruption. Unless you are saying there's corruption with the evidence, is not true. 3 are fired. And in 3 occasions, including the DA who every day accuses the ANC for keeping corrupt people. Because I had no right to fire them as councillors, they kept them in council. and that expecting me to work with them. In the 3 years that I've worked with the EFF, or I was the mayor, not a single time that the EFF has ever approached me about or tender or anything to do with corruption. I'm on record in that, but I can't say the same about the party I was representing. I'm sure you've read a senior member of the party came to my house and requested introduction to state resources, and I rejected, and it's in writing on that. And what I find it actually quite interesting is that if you say Herman Mashaba was corrupt during his tenure as a mayor, why then didn't you handle the matter at the time of corruption? Why, after I leave, then you want to accuse me of corruption? Because one thing, when you deal with Herman Mashaba, question of corruption, I don't care. Whether the party wanted me to fire these people or not, I fired them for corruption. I fired and got people arrested, over 900 in the city of Johannesburg. 35 billion rands of fraud and corruption involving some of the senior members of the ANC who are today not only in parliament, in cabinet, sitting and being supported by the DA. And they know these people very well. They serve with them. Now, if ever Herman Mashaba was corrupt, why didn't you then raise his corruption at the time that you came across? Do you then say, you're saying to civil society or South Africans that for as long as you're in the DA, we will cover you? Herman Mashaba will never cover for anyone. I don't want anyone to cover me for corruption. I don't want, because I can assure you, I will never cover anyone for corruption or any malfeasance. That is really my nature, you know. So the city of Johannesburg today is where it is because of Helen Zeller's actions. And because I can tell you, not even in the next life she'll become a mayor of the city of Johannesburg. Why? Why I'm saying so? Because she collapsed two governments with support. Government that are in with their mandate. I left my business because I thought they were an alternative. Refused to provide services and accused me of being an EFF mayor because I was providing portable toilets to poor communities. They said I don't cut grass in Sandton where I live, which was a deep insult to me. I've taken it really quite personal when I'm being accused of being an EFF mayor for providing people where ANC failed for 15 years, put people in squatter camps called informal settlements, give them portable toilets. And the party I was representing at the time refusing to do that. And now Helen approaches people in the ANC. I was pursuing this 35 billion rands of corruption because she knew I was determined, despite the fact that the NPA was refusing to prosecute. I was looking at options to get across to them. Approached them, saying, ANC, come out with a motion of no confidence. We'll get a majority of DA councillors to remove Mashaba. Unfortunately for her, she didn't know I wasn't born yesterday. I got to know about the secret meetings. And they didn't believe me when I said, if this woman comes back into the DA, when she made herself available, I said, I would not want to be associated with her. 20th of October 2019, when she was elected as chairperson of DA Federal Council, I said, Herman, you don't associate with such characters. So the following day, I resigned, 2 years ahead of my time. And now you ask yourself, why are you so obsessed with the ANC, protecting them to this level? And I can now fast forward to 2021. ActionSA, today as I'm talking to you, we've got 44 councillors in the city of Johannesburg. We've got 16% of council. Only after a year. In 2016, when I was the mayor, ANC had 124 councillors. Today, you know how many they've got? 90. You know, the DA in 2016, when I was the mayor, we were 104 of us, councillors. You know how many councillors they have today? 70. 32% drop. Now, anyone telling me that they can actually be the mayor, where you need 136 councillors to be able to govern on your own, because Ellen won't work with anyone except the ANC. And I can tell you the bad news. The ANC of Gauteng is not the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa that is captured. The ANC of Gauteng will not work with Helen Zille. So bad news for her. So if she's not prepared to work with us, work with the Freedom Front Plus, she's got something coming for her, because getting anywhere close to even half of the 135, she must actually celebrate that she did very well. So I think I just thought that I raised these issues because they've come to my attention. And fortunately enough, I was born when there's a threat coming. I don't wait it to kill me. I'll go and kill it first. Thank you very much, Alec, and thank you to everyone for actually giving me this opportunity. It's always a pleasure being here at Business to really get this opportunity. Thank you very much.
This BizNews production is brought to you by Brenthurst Wealth. The wealthy aren't leaving South Africa, but their trusts are moving offshore. Invest better with Brenthurst.